what got me into the arts was that my parents owned a shoe store in downtown Martinsburg, West Virginia, and they needed a place to dump their kids for the summer. And there was a summer theater program right around the corner from the shoe store at the local community theater. And so I found myself, doing musicals in summer, and I couldn't get enough of it. And so I found myself doing technical theater work, painting sets, hanging lights, and just kind of doing that. Not realizing that at some point that was going to be my career. So I just fell in love with doing that work and being a part of the theater and the scenery and the lighting. And so I went to UNC School of the Arts as a lighting design major, and the rest was history. And so I just kind of worked my way through lighting design, and then was a director of operations. And then I finally secured a position as an executive director of a dance company. So I'd say initially my connection with Americans for the Arts was when I took over as executive director of Arts North Carolina. And they were a wonderful resource. The data is top notch in the arts and economic prosperity studies, especially in North Carolina, where we have so many local partners doing that work. And we're really excited to see AEP 6 coming out this year. So that data and information and advocacy resources was key for me to have a centrally located source. But it was also a community, right, to kind of connect me with what was happening at the federal level, but also to connect me with other state leaders and kind of hear what they were going through. So now, Americans for the Arts is the organization I look to as my primary source of guidance when trying to understand and advance federal policy. I want to make sure that our 14 House reps and 2 senators know what's happening and what they need to know. And Americans for the Arts is a great guide for that work, and it's fortunate that I can support them in my work whenever possible. I think to try and imagine a world without it, right? Like imagine no concerts. Would first imagine a concert with no scenery, lighting, or backup singers and dancers, and then imagine no concert at all. Imagine a place where every building was just a brick square. If you really start to try and think, you took the creativity out of everything, what would your life be? And realize how blank and pointless that is. And then when you start to add that back in and realize how much art and creativity are all around you, and they're so intricately ingrained into every part of your life, and then to understand that there's dollars associated with that, right? There's economic impact. That all of those, I always say that that we find out what's important by where our dollars go, and so I think it's really important that folks realize how much of their personal money, as well as other funds, are going into things that are of creative value. And, particularly, and I focus on the nonprofit sector, which allows to really explore a sector of the creativity that doesn't have as much of commercial backing. In North Carolina, we base our policy on what we call comprehensive arts education. Certainly that it's really important to have instruction in the arts, learning how to draw, etc. But that you also need arts exposure, and that you can't have a fully complete arts education just by learning the craft, but you also need to be exposed to high quality arts experiences across a wide range of areas. And then the third leg of that stool is arts integration, teaching across the curriculum, using the arts and creative ideas. And when I'm talking to legislators about this, or anybody that doesn't really understand what I'm saying, it's like, you actually learned your alphabet to a song by Mozart. Why can't you learn how the solar system works to a creative movement dance, right? Like there's so many ways that we can tap our creativity in other parts of our brain to advance education across all different categories. There's a lot of, I'm a lighting designer. There's a lot of math in lighting design, but then there's, a lot of art to it as well. And I think that it's all combined. And so understanding that that we break down and let more creativity and art overflow into all of our educational system, that's going to only help the students that are involved.